Something new, something different. Today we're going to make sandblasting booth. We as a people tend to way overcomplicate things, right? And you think sandblasting, it's this intense, difficult. It's not. It's super easy. Standard ways to etch: you have the chemical etch, the armor etch is an example of that. You cut out a mask, you put on this paste, it eats into whatever it is you're trying to etch. There's laser etching, really good. Tends to leave lines, kind of like 3D printing. The most even, constant, and in my opinion, one of the best ways to etch is sand etching. But to do that, you need some specialized equipment. It's not difficult to make, because you think of the big booth and all kind. We're gonna make it out of some just simple containers. It's easy. We don't need to overcomplicate this. So let's start by working on the lid. Let me show you what I'm about to do. So we got two things here, right? Piece of acrylic, it's been cut to 13 by 9. And the lid to our bin. I want a 1 inch on either edge. Return. This opening is just to see what we're doing, right? And this acrylic, it's going to get beat up, it's going to get used, it's going to get scratched, and it's going to need to be replaced. They do make glass that will handle the abuse we're about to do, but that stuff's super expensive. Scanning bars at grocery stores tend to be made out of that too. And that stuff is super cool, but like I said, very expensive. So in a second I'll show you what I got, and then I'm going to cut it out. You're not going to watch me cut it out because, you know, that's boring. Layout though, ooh. Alright, so I've got 1 inch all the way around, or 1 inch around, 1/2 inch on the top and bottom. Center that a little better. I'm going to cut this out, drill a couple of holes. So we got 4 holes. I mean, we could put more holes, you know, in each corner and everything like that. I'm not going to bother. Doesn't really need it. Not enough's going to get out through here to be a problem. Acrylic. You need to be careful though. It'll crack. You look at it the wrong way, it'll crack. I tend to, if I'm drilling out acrylic, I tend to drill backwards. So unscrew everything. It will melt through rather than drill through. And it tends to be a bit safer anyway. So all I'm going to do at this point one random thought. Whenever I drill plastic, you get weird flashing. I have a deburr tool. You pick these up at Menards. You just go around once or twice. It tends to cut all the flashing off. It makes messing with it way easier. So at this point we just drop in our bolts and set the lid to the side. And there's nothing special about these bolts. They're just standard bolts. Don't over tighten them. Again, acrylic cracks. If you want, you could put silicone all along everything and make it all super good, but honestly, these things get replaced. I tend to not overdo it. And that's it for the lid. Lid's done. clear enough. We can see through it. Let's be honest. For sandblasting something, we don't need to see super finite detail. We just need to be able to see what we're doing. So I figured out where I wanted my main hole, right? Dead center. I don't have an outfeed, so I just strapped down a piece of plywood, drilled right through, took my deburr tool, deburred the whole thing, right? And that's a little... If you don't have a deburr tool, you can also use a razor blade. Works just as fine. Well, not as good, but works all right. So now we've got a large opening that I can put my arm in, right? Sand's going to pop out if we do that, though. So the glove luckily stretches, and I happen to have a piece of plastic that I just cut that's the exact diameter of this hole. If I can figure out where I put it. Ah. Let's zoom out just a little bit and continue where we can see each other. So we have our 6-inch hole, or 5-inch hole, I'm sorry. I've drilled 6 pilot holes, which we're going to feed bolt screws. The nice thing about fabric gloves is A, they stretch, and B, they're less likely to split. The chemical gloves will split every time. All you got to do is work something in there. In my infinite wisdom, I grabbed a torque wrench, or torque screwdriver. Let me go grab a Phillips. All I have to do is work in between the weaves. Most gloves will separate enough. Stretch it out a little bit. Fabric gloves like this will let air through, but it will not, or shouldn't, let any of the media you're blasting get through. And we're just going to continue all the way around, and this side should be done. I haven't decided where I'm putting the second one yet. The second glove might go in the side, because having 2 sides, I could hold the thing in one side and Sandblaster in the other side, and I don't know yet. We'll figure it out when we figure it out. We'll figure it out together. Which continue with the other 2. And that is more than enough room to hold whatever it is we're holding. If I come in from the side, that'll let me spray it a bit easier. We'll see. We'll see. Let me finish putting these bolts in, have a bit to think about something, and we'll continue from there. For the second hole here, I've decided I don't want to put a glove on it. I want to have it completely, it's a smaller hole, so I'm going with a 4-inch hole. So if I have a sweatshirt on, that will create a good enough seal. The other one is the one I'm actively going to be sandblasting, so I have to have a glove on that one. This one, I don't think we need it. So instead, I'm just going to drill a hole that is smaller. Again, simpler is easier. I want to be able to reach a bit farther on this side than I do with the other side. love my deburr tool. This thing is fantastic. Most of the time. So my first Sandblaster, I use the same principle. I'd wrap a towel around it, and it worked fantastic. But, you know, sandblast in your hands, not a good idea. This way I can hold the thing that I'm holding and still be able to sandblast. And again, if I need to, I can always just run something around it. I got enough monk's cloth floating around, I could just monk's cloth it. Which I might do, just for fun. A lot of these bins have random holes everywhere. I tend to just put a bolt in, be done with it. We don't have to mess with anything. We do need a way to attach our blaster, Sandblaster. So, got a couple of quick connect fittings that we're just going to install. Let's go right here. It broke pretty bad right there. Corners are notorious for breaking. These acrylic bins don't drill so well. Almost put that in backwards. With Quick Connect, I can leave everything in here, just disconnect it and walk away. Which is why I tend to do it this way. I like being able to not think. The less I have to think about, the less likely I am to make a mistake. I might get a larger bolt just so I've got a solid connection there, but that can easily wait. That's what I got. This is my original booth. It's a little bigger. It's got two in front. It's got the rubber gloves. Again, as you can see, they split all the time. I've replaced them 4 or 5 times. I'm just kind of done with it. I used to have a kit. Still do, I guess. A couple of clamps. Masks. Random stuff, right? Safety glasses and hearing protection. These all stay in this kit. This was the original sand etching I used to use. I went from the chemical to this, and this stuff was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. It was at Hobby Lobby, but you run out of cans way too quick. So I upgraded to keep sand nice and clean to this thing. I picked this up at Harbor Freight. Central Pneumatic. Abrasive blast gun. It works fantastic. Tips are replaceable, so if you want a finer stream. The sand I use was just play sand. I think this is for like weddings and stuff, for centerpieces. It works fantastic. This was the original booth. I'm making this one because, like I said, this is big, unwieldy. It works great. but I wanted something a little more compact. I use a compressor. It's a little bitty Husky. It's like a 1 gallon. It's a tiny little thing. I love my compressor. But this is where we're at. I've got plate masked off because we're going to do a practical demonstration so you can see how this works. I've also got one that I've lasered and we can compare the two to see the difference. Plate goes in. This goes on. It's not a lot of room. I probably should have gotten a slightly larger bin, but hey, it is what it is, right? I'm going to move you over so you can see a little closer to what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to do the thing. Show you what it looks like when we're done. So, I cleaned it off, pulled the mask, noticed I had done way too light of a sanding on the Phoenix. Nice thing about sand etching is I can fill my hopper back up, relay the mask, because it's a vinyl mask, which I cut on my vinyl cutter. So, you know, it's the same every time. You can't do that on the laser. Once you move it off the laser, it's done. You'll never be able to put it back in place. So I prefer sand etching for stuff like that. So I'm going to redo the Phoenix just to darken it up a bit. Plate goes in. It's going to get loud. Phoenix, being too light, 100% operator error. Unlike with most other mediums though, I can fix it pretty easy. That's better. So now I'm just going to peel my mask the rest of the way off. Let's see what we got. That's much better. Very happy with that. It's nice. It's hard to see because it's on glass. But let me go grab a couple examples to show you other sand etchings I've done so you can see how the process works. So now that everything is said and done, disconnect that. This is going to stay in this bin. It's a bin, might as well just leave it there, right? As far as the rest of the sand goes, that's easy. In the bin. And in the bin. All of my stuff is self-contained. It's right there. My whole sandblasting setup, done. A little dusty. Very happy with that. That looks pretty cool. I like the filigree. You can probably see a little better on Boba Fett. The level of detail. You can see that the cup needs to be cleaned. But, all in all, this is definitely an easy bit of kit to put together. Unbelievably useful. If I had to redo it, I'd probably make it a little bigger, just so I have a little more room. I'd probably even go as big as I did last time. I don't know. I might put in some silicone all the way around, just to seal this on the top. Silicone's easy to pry off. Heck, I might use E6000. It's real easy to pull off. All in all, I'm very happy with it. Go build a sandblasting booth. It's easy and it's fun. You can make cool stuff with it.